In tonight's news edition, Their Majesties King Abdullah and Queen Rania welcome visiting President of the Republic of Montenegro and his spouse, and the two leaders hold talks on promoting bilateral relations. A fresh wave of violence rips Iraq, where coordinated car bombings killed at least 60 people, including soldiers queuing to receive their wages at a local bank. And Germans are outraged at reports that Chancellor Angela Merkel may have been bugged for at least 10 years and the U.S. involvement in the bugging. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. Their Majesties King Abdullah and Queen Rania welcomed visiting President of the Republic of Montenegro, Filip Vujanovic, and his spouse, who yesterday began a several-day official visit to the kingdom. Upon arrival at Humar Royal Offices, His Majesty and Vujanovic inspected the guards of honor as the army band played the two countries' national anthems.
During their one-on-one meeting, the two leaders discussed bilateral ties as well as regional and international issues of common concern. An expanded session in the presence of officials from both sides followed. Welcoming Jordan's guest again, King Abdullah voiced hope his visit would be a chance for a new chapter of relations between the two nations. His Majesty reviewed potentials for future cooperation between Amman and Podgorica in the areas of trade, agriculture and tourism, as well as the exchange of expertise to open wider scopes for a partnership between the private and public sectors in both countries. The King praised Montenegro's successful endeavors in achieving growth in various sectors and congratulated the President on his re-election.
Congratulations to you again on the re-election. And truly, I hope that this visit will able to allow us to identify a couple of areas of interest between both our nations that will, especially on economic concerns, that will be able to launch a new chapter of relations. I think politically we are going to be very close on all concerns, but if we can bring our peoples together through culture and economy, I think this is going to be the achievement of what we're trying to do.
Mideast peace efforts and the Syria crisis figured high on the agenda. King Abdullah reiterated his view that resolving the Palestinian issue would ensure the security of the region and stressed the need for a just and lasting peace between the Palestinians and Israelis, leading to the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on national soil. On Syria, again, His Majesty presented ongoing efforts to reach a political solution that ends the bloodshed and suffering in Syria and preserves the unity of the country. He also spoke about the Syrian refugee issue and how it is affecting Jordan's economy, urging the international community to assume its responsibilities towards the Syrians who fled their homes. For his part, President Vujanovic hailed His Majesty's efforts towards peace and security in the Middle East, as well as Jordan's humanitarian assistance to Syrian refugees. He referred to Montenegro's experience in dealing with the refugee crisis during the Balkan Wars in the 1990s. He also paid tribute to His Majesty's endeavors to modernize and develop Jordan, saying it has become a model of reform and progress in the region. He praised the excellent relationship Jordan and Montenegro have, which will culminate in the signing of a cooperation agreement tomorrow that will lay the groundwork for future collaboration and exchange of expertise in economic and technical fields, mainly in agriculture.
We have absolutely excellent state relationship, and we are so proud concerning it. And thank you for Your Majesty, your contribution. I think that it is very important to be in situation to have tomorrow agreement about cooperation between chambers of commerce and to be in situation to have a framework for further activities and to be in situation to organize business forum in Montenegro, to exchange opinion about opportunity concerning our economic relationship, because, Your Majesty, you supported such a relationship, encouraged it.
Later in the day, President Vujanovic visited the tombs of the late King Hussein bin Talal, the founder of Jordan, King Abdullah bin al-Hussein, and King Talal bin Abdullah, where he laid wreaths. Alia Tuqan for the news at 10.
Earlier this evening, Their Majesties hosted a dinner banquet in honor of the Montenegrin president, his spouse, and accompanying delegation. Prime Minister Abdullah Nsur also met with the president of Montenegro and discussed with him and his accompanying delegation means of forging closer political, economic, and trade relations between the two countries. The talks, which continued over a lunch banquet hosted by Nsur in honor of the visiting president and his delegation, also dealt with the latest developments in the region, mainly the Syria crisis and ongoing developments in Palestinian-Israeli peace negotiations. Also here at home, State Minister for Media Affairs Mohammed al-Momani said that Jordan embraced a policy of openness as a key ingredient for its political life in its bid to achieve comprehensive reforms. Momani was making his remarks during the opening of a national conference on open government and mechanism for access to information on behalf of Prime Minister Abdullah Nsur. He said over the past few years, Jordan has begun to build a national media system open to all information outlets, one that respects the people's right to information. The government, he continued, firmly believes in a responsible media body as a key partner in the reform drive and as a key tool in achieving sustainable development. Momani referred to the fact that Jordan was the first Arab country to endorse access to information law in 2007, with the aim of creating a legal media environment that guarantees accuracy of information to safeguard the rights of individuals and society. The Iraqi capital, Baghdad, continues to reel under a fresh wave of car bombings, adding to the carnage that the embattled city has suffered in recent months. At least 61 people were killed following coordinated strikes during rush hour today. About 11 vehicles were reported to have blown up in mainly Shiite Muslim areas in and around Baghdad. The attacks come as Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki prepares to travel to Washington to seek the U.S. President's help in confronting a wave of sectarian violence. In the worst of the attacks in the Baghdad area, 2 car bombs exploded moments apart near a busy market, killing at least 7. In an attack in Mosul, a suicide bomber drove up to a line of soldiers waiting to collect their pay from a bank and detonated his car. While there were no immediate claims of responsibility, the attacks are typical of Al-Qaeda. Over to Syria, and Kurdish fighters moved to consolidate their control of an oil-producing region in the northeastern part of the country after seizing a border crossing with Iraq from Islamists yesterday. A member of the opposition coalition said the Kurds are now in control of Yarubiya border post and a clear route to market the region's oil. A statement by the Syrian National Coalition said Iraqi ground forces attacked Yarubiya in coordination with the Kurdish militia. An Iraqi security official denied the involvement, saying the last thing Iraq wants is to get dragged into a military combat in Syria. Elsewhere in Syria, there were reports of fighting between rebels and snipers in Dir'a province. Saudi women demanding the right to drive said they would keep up their campaign after a heavy police presence on the streets yesterday and government warnings not to get behind the wheel. Despite warnings by police and ultra-conservative religious figures against defying the ban, more than 60 women took to the roads yesterday. Activists are calling for many women to get behind the wheel and to post photographs or films of themselves online while driving in public. Though no specific Saudi law bans women from driving, women are not issued licenses in the country. Proponents of the campaign said that being able to drive would save them being left at the mercy of male family members to take them around.
Have that because it's useful for us. I can go to my university, I can go to my work, I can do anything without the men. So I can't depend for my husband or my father or my driver.
Taxis aren't safe here around here. I think I would drive, but depends how the situation is.
Yeah,
here.
maybe
like
it
once
depends
they
the policy.
once they start once women start driving here, maybe.
Yeah.
I would.
A YouTube film made by male Saudi comedians went viral on Saturday, parodying the Bob Marley song No Woman, No Cry as No Woman, No Drive to support the women's driving campaign. Japan's ground self-defense force held a military review at its training base in Osaka at a time when Tokyo and Beijing continue to be locked in a long and bitter territorial dispute. A number of government officials, including Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, attended the ceremony, which featured some 3,900 troops, drawing reactions from China. Here's more.
The role of Japan's self-defense force could be said to change. That was the message to troops on parade in Osaka, just north of Tokyo, at its annual military review.
Let us unite for the well-being and prosperity of our nation, and be resolute in our decision to protect, to the end, our country's territories.
Japan has announced its plans to review its self-imposed ban on weapons exports, as it seeks to play a more effective role in maintaining global peace, a proposal that could unnerve China and South Korea. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said he will not tolerate the use of force to change the region's status quo.
Post-World War II, we have prospered and moved forward as a peaceful nation. This is something for us to be very proud of. However, in order for us to continue protecting this peace into the future, we must be vigilant.
Japan is said to be revising its own decades-old ban on weapons exports, a move that would revive Japan's struggling defense industry. Ties between Asia's two largest economies, Japan and China, have deteriorated sharply after Japan bought 3 disputed East China Sea islets from a private owner last year. Tokyo has administrated the uninhabited islets for decades, but China and Taiwan both claim sovereignty. In the meantime, China is expressing its determination to protect its territory and warned Tokyo not to underestimate China's firm will to protect itself if Japan attacks its unmanned plane.
If Japan does what it said and resorts to enforcement measures like shooting down aircraft, that is a serious provocation to us. It is an act of war. We will surely undertake decisive action to strike back.
Patrol ships from both countries have been shadowing each other near the islets, raising fears that an accidental collision or other unintended incident could develop into a larger clash. Luay Balkar for the News at 10.
Catholic families from around the world gathered in St. Peter's Square at the Vatican to celebrate Family Day. Pope Francis, who a day earlier met with the families in the square, marked the day with an open-air mass. In unscripted remarks during his sermon, the Pope told the faithful to find joy in their everyday family life. He urged the people to seek joy within the family rather than base their joy on superficial things.
Dear families, you know very well that the true joy which we experience in the family is not superficial. It doesn't come from material objects, from the fact that everything seems to be going well. True joy comes from profound harmony between persons, something which we all feel in our hearts and which makes us experience the beauty of togetherness, of mutual support along life's journey.
And finally, it continues to be fair tonight in most regions and warm in the Jordan Valley with northwesterly light winds. Fair weather conditions continue tomorrow with northwesterly light to moderate winds picking up in the afternoon. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect relatively hot weather tomorrow with northerly moderate to brisk winds and slightly high seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. to end the news, here's a reminder of our top stories. Their Majesties King Abdullah and Queen Rania welcome visiting President of the Republic of Montenegro and his spouse, and the two leaders hold talks on promoting bilateral relations. A fresh wave of violence rips Iraq, where coordinated car bombings killed at least 60 people, including soldiers queuing to receive their wages at a local bank. And Germans are outraged at reports that Chancellor Angela Merkel may have been bugged for at least 10 years and a U.S. involvement in the bugging. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Nancy Khair. Thank you for watching and have a good night.